Welcome back to a brand new video. It's going to be the tier list. Before we start off with this video, I do have a Patreon where I do upload early videos. So if you're going to watch early videos, it's probably it can be from 5 hours to an entire day. It's going to be here. Make sure you check it out below. Otherwise, let's get on to the tier list. So this tier list is about fun, obviously in PvP, and this does not necessarily mean good, but most fun classes are gonna be good. Like, you're not gonna have that much fun on a class that sucks, is how it's gonna be put. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, let's get on with video. So first one that we're gonna be starting off with is gonna be Sub-Rogue. Sub-Rogue is gonna be that spec that's fun, but not fun at the same time. Um, to me it's B, but to you guys it's probably C. Um, you're just doing a lot of stunning, and your burst is satisfying sometimes, but you're not really doing much in the game. You're just doing your stuns. Obviously, the CC setups are really nice, and it's a unique spec that goes off a burst. But usually, most classes that are like these, people don't have much fun playing them because you're not. They want to be having damage, and they want to just do damage, pure damage, and win the game. As a sub rogue, you can't do that. You have to do a ton of CC. You have to be doing something a lot of something. So it's not going to be the best spec, but to me, it's still fun enough. It's still somewhat enjoyable. Assassination Rogue. A lot of people like Assassination Rogue, and that's going to be A tier. Now, when I played Assassination Rogue when it was really good, I actually did enjoy it when I got 3287 as it, and it was definitely fun then. It's most likely fun now. It's just an easy rotation that it feels like you just don't get bored of the rotation because you're always just reapplying bleeds or silencing. You're always doing something as an Assassination Rogue. Um, it's probably the only spec out of Rogue that you actually have consistency with. Obviously, Outlaw Rogue does a somewhat damage, but is it going to be that enjoyable? Not really. So Outlaw is going to be below sub on this list. Outlaw is that spec that you want to play when you what's the word I want to use here? It's the spec you want to play when you want to just damp people out. You're not really going to be doing much burst damage. Sure, you have your little opener of burst, and that's great. But off that, you're not doing really any damage. You're doing a little bit of CC on the side. Otherwise, you're kind of just a dampener. You're just there to survive until eventually you guys win. That's all Outlaw Rogue is. Me personally, I haven't enjoyed it since Shadowlands when it was broken. The only time it actually felt like you had damage is Outlaw. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Next one is going to be DK. Unholy DK, to me, is going to be the same thing. Well, okay, fine. Unholy, actually, no. Current Unholy DK is not going to be that good. Now, if this was old DK, especially with Unholy DK used to be so enjoyable because you had to get all your stacks up with your death coils and you were doing a bunch of stuff all the time. Now it's just a disease build and it's just boring. Not only does it suck, but it's just a boring playstyle. They tried to switch it. They tried to do the same thing with Fire Mage, where they tried to make Fire Mage into an AoE spec, and they ruined that spec entirely. That's the same thing they did to Unholy DK. Frost DK, however, is going to be pretty fun. It's the same thing as Sub Rogue, pretty much, except you have an unhealable amount of dam. Let me take that bait tag off. Yeah, but you have an unhealable amount of burst, and that's the one satisfying thing. You have a really amount, like an insanity amount of damage that you're putting out. That's only on your burst, however, which is basically every 1 minute you have somewhat of damage. But still, it's definitely better than Unholy DK. And on top of that, it's just you're able to do something. You're not just standing there. You're always getting ready for your goes or you're doing something. But yeah, I think it's semi decent fun, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Next is gonna be Blood DK, which is surprisingly gonna be in kind of the same position as Frost DK. The reason Unholy DK is so enjoyable for a lot of these people is one reason. You're able to go in, and honestly, you could even say this. You're just able to go in. You don't have to worry about anything. You're just going in, and you're just gripping people, chaining people, and diseasing people. That's it. And then you have an insane execute, which is it does a ton of damage. If you guys have been seeing Blood DKs in Solo Shovel, they do like pretty solid damn, but it's their burst execute damn that's the problem, and it really needs to be nerfed. But blood DKs right now are off the charts for not just fun, but they're also pretty good. But yeah, if you're looking to play blood DK and just go in and have a little bit of fun, it's probably the best time that DK has been like it's the funnest it has in a while, just due to blood DK. But that's pretty much that. Next is going to be Warrior. Arms Warrior. It's going to be actually pretty fun. I wouldn't say it's S tier fun because it's still a 3-button rotation. Anything that requires 1 or 2 buttons to do all your damage, it's not going to be the greatest. However, as Arms Warrior, you're stacking your overpowers up for a huge Mortal Strike. You have a lot of burst potential, and you're just always doing something. You're not just standing there minding your business. You're not like a Frosty Gare and Holy DK. You always have somewhat of damage. It might not be the greatest, but you're always included, just like a Blood DK in an Assassination. You're always out there just smacking somebody in the face. Fury Warrior is going to be pretty low on the list as well. Again, Fury Warrior has one of the boring rotations in the game. It's probably as boring in terms of boring as BM Hunter. You click literally 2 abilities for your damage rotation. Two abilities. You do have your defenses, and then you have a stun. Altogether, you're probably clicking about 6 buttons. That's all Fury Warrior is. You can't really have fun with 6 buttons as everything. So, while it may be really good, you're not going to enjoy it as much as you think you are. There's a reason a lot of people play Arms, and nobody wants to play Fury. Well, actually, a lot of people want to play Fury because it's so easy you can't mess it up. That's Fury Warrior. Next we have is Tank Warrior, which I'm not even going to discuss. We all know not only is it absolutely garbage, but its rotation, sure, you can say it maybe fun somewhat, maybe like you can make it work in Blitz, but you cannot tell me that you're not going to get chained. You're just never going to be able to move your character as a warrior. And on top of that, it's just not going to be that fun. You're taking a lot of more damage. You don't have the healing output to do as much as a blood DK. And that's pretty much it. All the other tanks just suck. And if they suck, it means they're not going to be that fun. Because if they suck, they're not fun. Nobody wants to play something that's not good. Or playable. This is a spec that's literally unplayable. You sure, if you're low rated, go at it. Have some fun if that's what your fun is. But I would much rather you play a blood DK and actually have a chance. Next is going to be Druid. We'll start off with Tank Druid, which is actually probably a little bit higher on the list here. If I had to put tank somewhere, like, and we're being like realistic in the terms of tanking, let's just put it here. So Tank Druid is also a really fun tank, but at the same time, Mistweavers are just going to be better. Like, why play it? The only tank that you can play in the game right now and genuinely have fun is Blood DK. Nobody can tell me something else. I've never faced a tank Druid, a tank, a Prot Warrior, a Brewmaster. Maybe back in the day, like a few years ago, you saw Brewmasters, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's fun, sure, but is it going to be the greatest fun? Probably not. In overall, it's not going to be good, but in Blitz, you can make it work, and it's definitely solid. And that's all there is to it. Next is going to be Boomy. Boomy is going to be that spec it's just a hard spot to put it. But if I had to put it somewhere, it would probably be around here. The only problem with Boomies is you're not going to have fun getting trained. However, you are going to have fun doing a lot of stuff. You're able to just do a lot. Not only in Blitz, in Arena and Solo Shuffle, you have CC, a ton of CC, Spammable Clone, Root Beam, Bash, and it's just, you have a lot. And then you have Burst Dam, which is an in-card, does a ton of dam. You just have everything you would ask for, other than a big defensive cooldown. But overall, you're going to have a pretty good time as Boomy. It's just an easy spec to play in terms of, doing damage, just putting bleeds up, and just, that's really all it is. Put bleeds up and Star Surge, and that's pretty much your rotation. But yeah, I definitely think it's solidly fun, and I can see why people play it. That's why I played it back when it was actually good, like really good. But that's all there is to it now. Next is going to be Feral Druid. Feral Druid's going to be our first S tier. The reason Feral Druid's so high is its rotation. There's actually a lot of abilities that go into Feral Druid, surprisingly. You have probably 5 or 6 main abilities that you have to be present. Moonfire, um, you know what I'm trying to say. Rip, Furious, you bite. I'm trying to think of all of them. Shred, Rake. I think I said Moonfire, and then you had the Frenzy. You just have a lot of abilities, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're looking to play something that's kind of like Feral Druid is the new sub rogue, the new assassination rogue, and the new everything. It's sure it may have gotten nerfed a little bit, but overall, Feral Druid's really good. The only problem with Feral Druid is they die really quick. They take a lot of damage, but otherwise they're really fun to play. That's why I swapped to Feral and not Rogue. The next that we're going to be going over is going to be Elemental Shaman. Again, going to be a really fun spec to play. And it's an easy rotation. You're just doing insta casting, and you do have hex and stuff like that. But otherwise, you have a good amount of utility. You have Trimmer for your healers. You have Wall underground, long range kick that's a short CD. You just have a ton of burst damage. Otherwise, you're literally just doing lava bursts and earth shocks, the same thing you've always done. And it's just a simple, easy caster to play. You're just doing damage, and that's about it. Next is going to be Enhancement Shaman. Again, is also going to be another fun spec to play. Its burst is satisfying, and on top of that, it's just a rotation. Even though it's kind of bland, you're only doing 2 or 3 abilities. It feels like on your burst you're able to do something, and you're not just like you do a ton of burst. And now the only thing I don't like is off your burst how like vulnerable you are, because enhancement shamans, believe it or not, they die. They do a lot of off healing, but they're not tanks. They're meant for fast games, not long games. They need to go in there, do their stuff. They need to be done. The game needs to be done in 2 minutes. Flatline, GG. Kind of like a Pharaoh Druid. But both specs, all 3 specs, just kind of fun. You're just laid back. You're doing what you want, and it's not boring enough to where it's like you're literally clicking one ability, but you're doing multiple things at once. You can be CCing. It's kind of just the BM version of these classes, but in a more fun version. Next one is going to be Restless Shaman. Restless Shaman is always that spec that's been, based around totems and riptides, and I would probably put it at B tier just because you're just doing so much, but at the same time, it's not that good, so it's not gonna be that fun. But it's a fun rotation. It's especially once you get it down and you're ready to go. But I think a Restless Shaman can definitely be a fun spec to play. You're just always doing something, which is nice. You can do damage, you can be kicking, you could be going for hex, rooting, or just flat healing. There's a lot of stuff you can be doing as a Restless Shaman. Next is going to be, let's go with Evoker. Dev Evoker, unfortunately, is fun, but at the same time isn't. I would probably put it in B tier with Sub Rogue and Frost DK. They're just those type of specs that you do your burst damage and then you're kind of just AFK. And that's alright. Some specs are just meant to be that like that. But honestly, if I had to put these in like an order here, I would say, yeah, I would say this is fine. But yeah, Dev Evoker, you're doing a ton of burst. You're able to just do something at all times. Now, off your burst aim, you're not doing anything, doing anything insane. But you're dragging and you're flying up in the air. That can be real useful. You go up in the air, you're going for sleeps, you're going for kicks, you're going for roots. There's a lot of things you can be doing at that time. And on top of that, you're just doing a ton of damage. And it's an easy rotation. I wouldn't say it's A tier easy, as in like it's not going to be that much fun to click that 2 ability. Even if it could even be, you could even say it's 1 ability. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say with that. Next is going to be, and honestly, if I had to put Dev Evoker somewhere, I think it'd be more legit to do this, honestly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm not really putting them in order, so they're just similar and boring. Next is going to be, let's go with Pres Evoker. Evoker is an interesting spec. A lot of people um act like it's not as fun as it is, but it is fun. You have the damage. It's kind of like Sham, but you just have a lot you can be doing. There is a ton. You get shields for 30 seconds, and they have to stun you 3 times or purge them 3 times to get them off. You have, you can play either on top of your people. You can be pushing them for CC. There's so much stuff you can be doing at all times that it's gonna be one of my favorite healers to play because there's just so much things that you have to do, and even if you don't do them, it's just a easy rotation of a healer. And you could even say it's like probably just like this. It's just in B tier. I think it's fun, but just to be honest with each other, I think Sham is actually more fun than Evoker. Now I'm not saying they're better. Evoker is way better than Sham, but Sham just feels like there's a there's a little bit more you can be doing to help. And Evokers, they have sleep, long range kick. They have grip. But at the same time, I've always enjoyed Sham because of the totems, even though it's not the best right now. Next up, we're going to be going over is going to be Augmentation is going to be the same as these other ones, and I would say it's just boring. I would think it's one of the most boring specs I've ever seen created, or this is why I don't care about Augmentation. It needs to be butchered. They should have never added it in the game in the first place. Nobody, unless they were going to keep up with it and actually do something with it, maybe. But they added it in, and it's been one-shotted when it was first released. But ever since they've been nerfed, they've literally been almost unplayable. And on top of that, you're just a support. You're basically a worse version of a healer and a DPS. Why would you want to play them out of everything? I would much rather have anything else other than an Aug Evoker, so I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. Alrighty. And I should have brought some water, ain't gonna lie. I didn't think it was gonna be this long a video, but whatever. Next one is going to be Frost Mage. Frost Mage is surprisingly an actual pretty solid caster. The only problem I think with it is it lacks off damage. And sure, you have spammable CC, but at the same time, its off-brand damage is what ruins the spec. But at the same time, with Ice Wall and everything else you can be doing, I would probably put it where Boomy is. Somewhere around this. It's literally basically a Boomy. You have burst dam, and then off that you're kind of just spam CCing. Same thing with what Boomy does. I'd say they're both semi-fun, but they're both just kind of, the same thing. If that makes any sense. I think Elemental's fun because you don't actually have to cast. Frost Mage, you don't have to cast. Boomy, you don't have to cast much. But the difference is, Elemental Shamans can literally kill somebody at all times during the game. They're just killing everything. Sure, the Frost, you could say the same, or like a Boomy, but it's just a different in everything, to be honest. I think Frost Mage is fun because I play one, but is it S tier fun? No. Pharaoh Druid, Enhance, and Ellie, based on what I've played, are just a lot more fun. I think just Frost Mage and Boomy, they're more dampeners, and that's why nobody really enjoys them that much, but that's just how it is. Alrighty, next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Fire Mage. The current Fire Mage I wish I could play Fire Mage. It's literally, sure, you can be like, oh, well, it can work, no. It very rarely ever works. Sure, you can get a rank 1 to play any spec and they can make it work, but let's be honest, it's going to be the worst in terms of fun that you can ever play. Not only does it suck, which is automatically making it terrible, its rotation, they made it into a solo target because it was originally a solo target, and then they switched it to an AoE, and then they just don't know what they're doing. That's all you can say. I think Fire Mage, it had the potential to be really fun in Shadowlands. It was the funnest spec of all time. You did a ton of damage. It was obviously, you didn't do much off your burst, but that's when you'd be farming your busts again. Now it's like, okay, I die in 30 seconds anyway. I might as well just do nothing. That's Fire Mage. And then we have Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage is, if I had to put it somewhere on this list, it would probably be a little bit higher than the rest. And in terms of fun, I would say Arcane is the funnest spec in terms of fun. You're running around the map. I wouldn't say it's the best mage spec. I think Frost is definitely better. It's defensively better, and then it's overall just better. Arcane, it has insane burst, and I wish it had two blocks or like some type of healing, cause it feels like a fire mage. You die really quick, but at the same time, it's still really good. I just think Arcane is like it's a generally fun spec. It's like more fun than I've had on Frost or any other spec in a minute. I definitely enjoy playing Arcane, surprisingly, even though it's not that fun in like it's fun in Blitz and it's fun in like 2v2 Arena. I don't really enjoy anything else. But in overall, it's definitely a fun spec. I would much rather play Arcane than Frost and Blitz or Fire. So next one is gonna be Warlock. Affliction Warlock is gonna be again another S tier spec. You just do a ton of damage and you're able to just do whatever you want. It's the one spec in the game that has spammable CC and it has unhealable. Okay, so think about it this way. They're like an SP, except if you dispel anything, you're going from 100% to 40% every single time. What that allows them to do is they get to pick the best options they want to play with. So whether that's Assassination Rogue, a Shadow Priest, a Mage, whatever you want to say, they can make their own comp because of how good they are. They're able to do, and it's basically a Shadow Priest, but you can't dispel their bleed unless you like would use Wall preemptively or something. But overall, definitely a fun spec. One of the most fun casters because of the amount of damage you're outputting. But that's pretty much all there is to it. And the next is going to be Destro Warlock. Destro Warlock is another fun spec, honestly. Now, is it that good? No. But in terms of fun, I would put... I put Destro over Boomy and Frost Mage. I think Destro, it has the right way of doing it. It just, they haven't figured out how to make them good. They definitely do a lot of damage, but in terms of like Affliction Warlock versus Destro and Affy is gonna absolutely dominate you. But Destro, it's always had that fun feeling about it. It's all about getting those bolts off, which is how PvP should be. You shouldn't just be able to PvE to win. It should be, okay, I need to calculate the fake cast for the precog for big bolts, interferes, and stuff like there needs to be a little bit of calculating going on. With all the S tier right now, there's no calculation. It's just full PvE. Sure, you can say Enhanced Ferrodur and maybe Arcane or, Burst Reliant, but at the same time, they're just the same. You're just hitting whoever you can hit, and that's it. That's all there is to anymore. Still a really fun spec, and that's all. Then we have Demo Warlock. Me personally, I think it's the most boring spec I have ever played. Again, I would honestly put it above Aug because Aug's just that, but like Demo Warlock is a spec that should not be allowed in PvP. There's nothing fun about it. It's a dampener. It's just throwing out minions, and I can't say it's fun because if I ever logged as a Demo Warlock, I wouldn't be playing WoW anymore. If I was forced to ever play this spec, in terms of it's so broken I had to play it, that is the time we need to rethink what's going on. But I would not suggest Demo Warlock in any world. You will have, yeah, no, you got some, yeah. Let's just leave it at that. The next one, we're gonna be on with Monk. Finally, Monk. Mistweaver is actually gonna be a really fun healer. You can important stuns. Your healing rotation is actually pretty, solidly. It's an easy one to learn, and then you're doing a ton of damage. There's a kick ability that basically does 1 mil anywhere to like 1.7. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it is unhealable dam, and also if you push something right before it, it gives a fat heal. It's like a Fistweaver, but with big dam. It's the one heal right now that does the most damage, on top of doing a ton of damage consistently, not just burst. It's just an easy fun spec to play. You're pouring around on Blitz, you're being a tank, you're literally holding the flag and getting across the map in 3 seconds. You're just having a good time as a Mistweaver right now. Now, you might not have that much fun in, solo shuffle or 3v3, but it's definitely playable, and overall, it's going to be fun. Next is going to be Windwalker. Windwalker, to me, is actually pretty fun. It would probably be, if in terms of fun, it would be probably here. No, I probably, since it's a melee, it's going to be the top. I think and we could honestly say something like this. Because I think the melees are going to be easier, only due to the fact that it's just a lot easier to play a melee. That's why I'm putting them ahead. But I think Windwalker is going to be your top. I've seen so many Windwalkers, and I do enjoy how their play style, because they got more burst damage. So it's not like they're just they have consistency now. They're not the most insane spec, but instead of just having your burst and you have to wait 2 minutes to do anything, now you're able to do somewhat of damage consistently. It's not the greatest, and by no means is. And honestly, if I had to put it somewhere, I'd probably put it here. I think SS is going to be the top because you have consistency and burst, so we'll keep it like that. Next one is going to be. I'm not Brewmaster. We're just gonna say I'm not even gonna rate it. Let's be honest about that. Brewmaster used to be so much fun back when it was good, but now it's just nobody even plays it. There's no point of. Yep. And let's see, what do we want to start off next? Let's go with Hunter. Hunter. If I had to put somewhere right now, it'd be around where Sub Rogue is. I think in terms of fun, it used to be such a these specs used to be so well built that on their burst they were able to do unhealable damage. Now it's kind of just everyone has 9 different cooldowns. You can't really lose to somebody that's burst. It's just like that's just how it works now. You're kind of just everyone has unlimited cooldowns, and then that's just it's kind of ruined all the other burst specs. But it's definitely a fun spec. Is it the greatest right now? No. But in terms of fun, I'd definitely pick Hunter over any of these other specs. In terms of fun, that is. And then we have Survival Hunter. Survival Hunter, after I've watched a few things on it and putting it in an honest spot, I would probably put it right here. And yeah, something like that. You're basically doing something all the time. Not only do you have consistent pressure, but you have burst damage and you get CC. You just can't beat it. So in terms of fun, I would much rather play a Survival Hunter than an Arms Weir or a Destro or Frost or Boomy. Like if I was just trying to have fun. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I underestimated Survival Hunter because I used to only play BM, especially because BM's always the meta. It's very rare that MM or BM Hunter aren't the meta. It's very rare to see Survival Hunter just tanking the ranks here in the rank. And then we have BM Hunter. BM Hunter, surprisingly, even for a 2-button rotation, I would put it probably right here. So I'd put it above Unholy DK and Fury Warrior. And honestly, see, the thing is, if this was older DK, I would have put DK way higher. The problem is it's now just a disease build, and it's no longer, how it used to be. Which is glad I played it when it was actually really good, and its rotation was fun. Now it's not fun. I would pick BM over Fury Warrior, DK, and Fire Mage any day of the week. That's how not terrible. Well, not necessarily terrible, but just I don't enjoy playing them anymore. Next one is going to be Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest is the one spec. It's basically an Affliction Warlock, and I would put it in front of Arcane, Feral Druid, and Enhancement because it's going towards a caster meta, where casters are just really strong, and I think just Shadow Priest. Not only do you work so well with other comps, Shadow Priest Feral Druid, Shadow Priest Affliction Warlock, Shadow Priest Assassination, Shadow Priest. You can just make any of these. Shadow Priest Destro, and etc. But definitely has a lot of cooldowns, a lot of utility. It's kind of like a ret, but for casting, and that's pretty much it. The next one is going to be Disc Priest. Disc Priest is actually a really fun healer. It's the one healer I play right now, other than HPAL. And that's going to be an S tier healer. I think it's the one healer that you're always able to push a button, whether it's spamming shields, or anything. I liked when Atonement used to be an actual healing ability. Now it's kind of just, it's not good. But in terms of just being able to have something at all times, Disc Priest is the one spec you can rely on to always have something to push. 2 PS's, Dome, Life Swap, Rupture, or I think it's a Life Swap, and it feels like you're always able to do, like, if everyone's full HP, you have the CC with Fear, you have, Grip, and you just have everything you would want for a healer. Now, is it the greatest in terms of good? Probably not. But in terms of fun, it's definitely a fun spec, and I would, if you're looking to play a healer and you don't know what to play, that's probably going to be one of your go-tos. The next one is going to be H-Pow, which is, personally, right now, I have more fun playing H-Pow than any other healer spec in the game. Now, the reason this is H-Pow is it's a spec that it's a calculated spec. Knowing when to bop, knowing when to put freedom on, knowing when to pre-sack something. It is the ultimate healer to, like, if you're really good, people will see how good you are based on an H-Pow. Like, with an H-Pow, you can't pre-sack. I mean, you can pre-fear as a disc, which is why it's up there in the list as well. It's kind of just being able to pre a lot of things and basically to show your progress in front of their faces. It's the two healers that you can actually do a lot to do something to pre or like counter or just do so much stuff to where it's like these two healers are going to be the most fun, and then Mistweaver is going to be right behind that. The next one is going to be Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin is going to be actually pretty solidly, just because it is again, it's a utility built class, so it's kind of just going to be better. And if I had to put Ret somewhere in terms of fun, it would be right behind Arms Warrior. And if I had to put it in between casters, it would probably be here. And let's do that instead, I think. Again, it's really hard to put these specs. You can put them wherever you want to put them, as long as they're in the same rank. I really couldn't care less. I'm trying to get this video done with. I need a drink of water. The next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Wrestler Druid. Right now, current Wrestler Druid is just boring. You die in a global. Literally, you would die in a 2-second stun. Your healing just gets spam purged, and with Evokers being sort of the meta in terms of in good, I wouldn't advise playing Wrestler Druid. It just sucks. You die insanely quick. All your healing gets purged almost every 10 or 15 seconds. You die in 2 seconds in a stun. It's not something that I've ever wanted to play. It's the one healer spec that I won't even log on right now. It's that bad. So I would not, just don't do it. We have Tank Prot, which is actually going to be, honestly, I'd say it's in front of, I think I've actually seen a good amount of Prots in a weird way. I don't know why. They're not good, but I think they only work in 2v2 arena. And this is just in 2v2 arena, so you could say, this is better. Who really cares? It's just good. It just has a lot of utility, a lot of stuff to stop people from doing something. And if it was double DPS versus double DPS with a tank, the tank is gonna have a good chance of beating you with a teammate. Next, we have Tank DH, which again you can say what you want to say, but let's just put that there. I don't really care. You can honestly just put these all down, just down here, and we'll just say that. Who cares? Actually, I'll put the only viable tank here, there. You could say this is behind that. That's all we're doing. Next, we have his Holy Priest. It's the same thing as Wrestler Druid. I think it's actually more boring than Wrestler Druid. It has no defensive cooldowns, not a single one that's actually that benefits for you. Its healing rotation can be fun when it's good, but when it's not good, you just feel like you don't do any healing. You do your Serenities, which is great, and you have your in-cap Fear, but off that, you're not doing anything in the game. You're just standing there looking dumb, just like a Wrestler Druid. Not going to be your favorite. And then we have DH, the last one, so we can get done with this video. If I had to put DH somewhere, it would be right here. So in front of Unholy DK, but behind Fury Warrior and the rest of these. And again, the only reason I think BM Hunter is just fun because it's such a laid-back spec. If you're looking to just chill out, have fun, do a lot of damn, this is gonna be this one. And why play a Fury Warrior when you can play a casting Fury Warrior that can cast? Why would you not? And honestly, I would put this as the number one in C, just due to the fact that you don't have to do anything. You have a ton of defensive cooldowns and you have a ton of damage. Why wouldn't you want to play BM? And I couldn't tell you why you wouldn't want to, play it. And honestly, if I had to put these somewhere, nah. Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will have some rogue content coming out in the future, but for now, hopefully this is good enough. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sorry for the voice. Obviously, I've been sick, so typical. But let me know what you guys thought about the video. Peace.